Hello, I'm Jim Lamerson. I own Lamerson's Jewelry and Lapidary Arts in downtown Prescott, Arizona. I've been in my own business now for 27 years. I'm a graduate gemologist from the Gemological Institute of America and a certified gemologist appraiser with the American Gem Society. We're a very limited number. There's only 7 of us in the state of Arizona. I'm here today to try and share with you some of the pieces and highlight some of the pieces out of my jewelry store. My jewelry store is located, like I said a little earlier, in downtown Prescott, and we specialize in previously owned, estate, and antique jewelry. And right now I'm holding an antique piece of jewelry, estimated circa is the mid-1800s. It contains a beautiful silver gray colored South Sea pearl, and it's embellished with mixed rose cut and old mine cut diamonds in the shape of a star. And at one time, it's my opinion that this piece was probably a pin that was repurposed into a pendant with a 14 karat white gold bail. This is a piece that I bought out of an estate. Somebody had moved on in the universe, and the family didn't show any interest in owning this piece of jewelry. Now, I own the piece of jewelry, and I have an interest in seeing that you own this piece of jewelry. The diamonds are from the early to mid part of the 1800s to maybe 1890. They're a mixed selection of rose cuts and old mine cut. I didn't see any old European. That doesn't mean there's none in there. I just didn't see them. But the diamonds predominantly are old mine cut and rose cut. So the pearl is a presumed natural South Sea pearl, and it measures 7.5 millimeters in diameter, approximately. And when we use secondhand jewelry, we always approximate everything if we haven't actually done the weights or the measurements individually ourselves. This is another featured piece out of my estate collection. This is a multi-stone diamond brooch. This piece measures about 2 3/4 inches long, about 1 1/4 inch wide, and it has about 5.15 carats total weight of, again, a mixed a sundry of rose cut, old mine cut. I think there may be a little bit of old European cut diamonds in the piece. It's a beautiful floral spray, and it's a clip. The diamonds are highly sought after in our country today and in other parts of the world today. The public is seeking things of historical content, and there's nothing easier to come up with a historical content when you look at a piece of jewelry and you have diamonds that were cut 200 years ago, is to put a time frame in history in which this item may have been made. And that's one of the things we love to do in my estate collection, is collect pieces from different time frames in history. And this one here, I can just about venture to say it's from the early to late 1800s, which gives you about 100-year spread. But we always take that kind of so we're not incorrect when we say it. We always take that kind of liberty to try and give ourselves a little bit of opportunity to say, like, for example, here's an old European cut diamond, here's an old European cut diamond, and then here, these are all rose cut. So what that's telling me is that this piece was in a sundry of diamonds that somebody had in a collection that they put together to create this brooch. Now, as we look at the piece and we rotate it a little bit, you can see that the pin was probably made by itself at a time frame in history, and then maybe these outside diamonds that are all old European cut were added to embellish what was already there in the original pin. So I don't know the exact history of that part. All I can do is surmise by the appearance of the piece, the fact that you've got added on heads going around the piece, and the fact that you have the original piece that's set here that served as a clip. And it very well could have all been made at the same time, but I don't think so. I think this was all done at a time and then these were added, just looking at it. So, beautiful piece. And it's mixed, it's presumed mixed 18 karat and platinum. I have not yet been able to identify a authentic stamping on the piece. The total weight of the diamonds in this particular piece is estimated at about 5 carats. They are mixed. You do have a mixture of rose cuts and old European cuts. They're spread throughout the piece, as one can see. The outside is mostly the older European cuts, and then the interior right in through here are where you have the bead set rose cuts. Diamonds were cut using a transitional process, and originally they used to use jam pegs. They didn't have machines, and so what you ended up getting is you got something totally different. And then the next phase went into something called rose cuts, where they had a lot less faceting, 16 to 18 facets. And then they went into another style of cutting called Old European. And Old European cut typically was a little blockish, but maybe round. Old mine cuts were more blockish, they were more cushion shaped. And then the old mine cut transitioned into the Old European cut. And then the Old European cut transitioned into the modern cut. And so the modern cut was developed in, I think it was around 1943. And since that time, there's been a lot of modifications to facet placements and all kinds of things. And in today's world, there's all kinds of things that we are faceting diamonds. I mean, we're even faceting animals and things out of diamond. And right now, I'm kind of interested in showing my antique collection because that's what I have. Now here out of my gents selection, I have a beautiful estimated 1 carat, about 110, round brain cut diamond set in a two-tone man's ring with a mixed finish of high polish and Florentine. And the diamond's a very nice diamond, has nice color. Like I said, it weighs about 1 carat and 10, and it's a solitaire. It's low profile, so there's no prongs, and it can be worn all the time. There's a lot of confusion sometimes when we talk about estate jewelry. Most people want to associate it with either antique or period jewelry, etc. Estate, everybody seems to have an estate. It could be a state of new product, it could be a state of old product. There's a difference between the circa, that meaning the time or the vintage that the pieces were made, but everybody has something in their estate. And the estate could include new, it could include simply used, it could include antique, it could include period jewelry, but it's all in your estate. So you could actually quantify, I have an estate collection, but that estate could mean a lot of different things to different people. And that's one of the reasons why we try and tell people the estimated time frame that it was made. A gent's ring with a nice 1 carat diamond in it or thereabouts, a mixed two-tone finish, white gold and yellow gold, was potentially made in the 60s to early 70s. It's a modern braid cut, so we know that the diamond itself was cut after 1943. The mounting is reminiscent of what we saw in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. A new addition to my estate collection is this beautiful sapphire and diamond ring. What we have here is a cushion-shaped, mixed faceted sapphire, estimated weight approximately 1 carat, and it's associated with approximately a 1/2 carat accentuation diamonds going down the side. They're round brilliant cut, they're channel set, and you've got equal amount on each side, and the mounting is 14 karat white gold. Absolutely, this is contemporary. Absolutely, this piece is secondhand. So effectively, it came out of somebody's estate, but it's not an antique. And estate is a lot more palatable than the word used. When we look at secondhand jewelry, there's a difference between dealing in a qualified jewelry store in a secondhand marketplace that might be similar to a yard sale or a swap meet or potentially pawn shop or something of that nature. Now, there are many pawn owners that are also qualified to give you expertise. Generally speaking, you would want to talk to a registered jeweler or a certified gemologist or a graduate gemologist from either the American Gem Society or the Gemological Institute of America, because that's one of the assurances that you would have of their qualifications and expertise. So one of the things that we're looking at here is, while it's a secondhand piece of jewelry, I wouldn't call it an antique. I wouldn't call it, even though it's in my estate collection, it's secondhand, and we put it in the estate selection of jewelry for display purposes, but we also have to qualify to a potential new buyer that the piece is a new piece. It's not old, it's not antique, it's not period jewelry like out of the 40s. This is a contemporary piece. We are obligated by a code of ethics to explain to them what they're getting. The Federal Fair Trade Commission obligates us to tell the consumer if there's been treatments, what the treatments were, and potential ramifications of treatment. For example, with clarity enhancement, there's different ways to clarity enhance a diamond, including glass filling, including laser drilling, including electronic color alteration, including coating with various different chemical composites that would alter the color of a diamond. And there's things that are done to diamonds, and the best way to assure that is to work with somebody that is qualified as either a registered jeweler, American Gem Society, graduate gemologist from the Gemological Institute of America, or an American Gem Society certified gemologist appraiser, somebody that's qualified to tell you, here's what this really looks like.